It didn't happen during the divorce, it didn't happen in the headlines. It happened after everything was supposed to be over. A late-night clip starts circulating, barely a minute long, where Todd Tucker sits back, looks directly at the camera, and says something that instantly flips the entire narrative around Kandi Burruss. People only saw one side, and that wasn't the full story. No anger, no shouting, just that calm, controlled tone that somehow hits harder than anything else. And within minutes, everything starts unraveling, because fans had already picked sides when the divorce first went public. Most people believed they understood what went wrong: busy schedules, business pressure, different priorities. Simple, clean. But now Todd is hinting that what we all thought might not have been the truth at all. Fans are shocked, because right after that clip, another moment resurfaces. An older interview where Todd hesitates when asked about their relationship and says, "Sometimes success changes how people move." At the time it didn't raise eyebrows. Now it feels like a clue. And then comes the line that really sets everything off. In a second clip, Todd says quietly, "Respect behind closed doors matters more than what people see online." That's when the conversation explodes. Because now it's not just about a breakup anymore. It's about what was really happening when the cameras weren't rolling. The reaction didn't stay contained. It spread fast and it spread loud. Within hours of that clip surfacing, timelines were filled with people rewatching old moments between Todd Tucker and Kandi Burruss, looking for anything that suddenly felt different. What used to seem like normal relationship tension now looked layered. Conversations that once felt playful started sounding passive-aggressive. And the more people looked, the more they felt like they had missed something the first time around. Fans are shocked because for years, Kandi and Todd were seen as one of those couples who balanced business and marriage in a way that worked. She was building empires, expanding brands, staying booked. He was behind the scenes, supporting, producing, moving quietly. But now that same dynamic is being questioned. Because when Todd says, "People only saw one side," it forces everyone to ask, what side weren't we seeing? And that's when another clip resurfaces that changes the tone again. It's from a reality show moment, one that didn't stand out back then. Kandi is talking about work, listing off everything she has going on, and Todd tries to interject. He laughs it off, but you can hear it. That slight pause, that moment where he says, "Yeah, but where do I fit in all that?" At the time it came off as light. Now fans are replaying it over and over, saying it sounds like frustration disguised as humor. Emotions ran high as people began picking sides again. But this time it wasn't as clear as before. Some fans are defending Kandi, saying her drive and ambition were always part of who she is, that Todd knew exactly what he signed up for. Others are leaning toward Todd, saying maybe he was being overlooked, maybe his role in the relationship wasn't as valued as it should have been. And once that divide started, it only got deeper. Then came the moment that really escalated everything. A short interview clip of Todd, recent, unfiltered, began circulating where he says, "It's different when you're building together versus just watching somebody build." That line hit hard, because it doesn't sound like a random statement. It sounds personal. It sounds like someone who felt the difference between being included and being left out. Fans are shocked again because now the narrative isn't just about a relationship ending. It's about how that relationship functioned behind the scenes. And once that idea takes hold, people start revisiting everything. Business deals, show appearances, interviews where Kandi spoke confidently about her success, moments where Todd seemed present, but quiet. The family was left divided in a way that felt more emotional than before. Not just arguments online, but real discussions about relationships, support, partnership. Because suddenly, this isn't just about them. It's about something people recognize in their own lives. Meanwhile, Kandi's side remains completely silent. No response, no clarification, no addressing the clips or the reactions. And that silence, it doesn't calm things down, it fuels them. Because when one side speaks and the other doesn't, people start filling in the gaps themselves. They start assuming, interpreting, building their own version of the story. And right when it seems like things might slow down, another detail surfaces. A behind-the-scenes moment from a past event starts circulating, grainy, short, but clear enough to catch attention. In it, Todd is standing slightly off to the side while Kandi is being interviewed. Someone off-camera asks Todd something, and he responds quietly, "It's her world." That line, simple as it is, hits differently now. Because it doesn't sound like pride, it sounds like distance. Fans are shocked, once again trying to piece together whether these moments were always there, or if they're only noticing them now because of what's been said recently. And through all of this, one thing keeps coming back to the surface. That original statement. People only saw one side. First, it felt like a general comment. Now, it feels like the beginning of something being revealed. The situation didn't cool off. It escalated. Because just when people thought they had a general idea of what Todd was hinting at, another clip surfaced that pushed everything into a completely different direction. This time, Todd Tucker isn't being subtle at all. Sitting in what looks like a casual setting, he says, "There's a difference between being a partner and feeling like an employee." That line landed heavy, not because it was loud, but because it was specific. And once that sentence hit the internet, everything shifted again. Fans are shocked because now the conversation isn't just emotional, it's structural. People start questioning the entire dynamic between Todd and Kandi Burruss. Was their relationship truly balanced? Or was it built around one person's empire while the other tried to find their place within it? That question alone opens the door to a completely different kind of discussion. Because now it's not just about feelings, it's about roles. Emotions ran high as old business decisions began getting pulled back into the spotlight. Fans started revisiting joint ventures, looking at who led what, who spoke in meetings, who appeared to have the final say. In multiple clips, Kandi is seen taking charge, confident, direct, focused. Todd, on the other hand, often appears more reserved, stepping in when needed but rarely leading the conversation publicly. At the time, it looked like teamwork. Now, people are asking if it was something else entirely. Then came another moment that added even more tension. A former associate, someone who had worked around both of them, posted a cryptic message that read, "Y'all don't know how it really was behind those doors." No names mentioned, but the timing made it impossible to ignore. Because now it's not just Todd hinting at something, it's someone else suggesting there's more to the story. And once that second voice enters the conversation, it becomes harder to dismiss everything as personal opinion. The family was left divided again, but this time the arguments felt sharper. Some fans are standing firmly with Kandi, saying her success required that level of control, that leadership isn't something you apologize for. Others are siding with Todd, saying that a relationship shouldn't feel like a hierarchy, that partnership means shared power, not just shared space. And right in the middle of all this, Kandi still hasn't said a word. That silence is becoming louder by the minute. Because as Todd continues to speak in these controlled, measured statements, the absence of a response from Kandi creates a gap that people keep trying to fill. Some interpret it as confidence, like she doesn't need to respond. Others see it as avoidance, like there are things she doesn't want to address publicly. Then came the moment that pushed everything even further. Another interview clip surfaces, this time older but now completely reinterpreted. In it, Todd is asked about balancing marriage and business. He smiles, pauses, and says, "You just gotta know when to step back." At the time, it sounded like maturity. Now, people are hearing something else. They're hearing compromise, adjustment, maybe even sacrifice. Fans are shocked again because the pattern is becoming harder to ignore. It's not just one comment. It's multiple moments spread out over time, all pointing toward the same underlying feeling. And once that pattern forms, it changes how everything else is viewed. Then, just when it seems like the narrative can't get more intense, another twist hits. A short audio clip begins circulating where a voice, unconfirmed but believed by some to be close to the situation, says, "He played his role, but that role wasn't equal." That line immediately adds another layer. Because now the idea of imbalance isn't just coming from Todd, it's being echoed by others, whether intentionally or not. Fans are shocked, caught between wanting clarity and realizing that clarity might not come easily. Because while these statements feel connected, nothing has been directly confirmed. And that uncertainty is what keeps the conversation alive. As the hours pass, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just about what happened after the divorce. It's about what might have been happening the entire time. And the deeper people look, the more they start to wonder if what they saw on the surface was only part of the story. The turning point didn't come from a headline. It came from a clip that felt too direct to ignore. Late into the night, another interview surfaced, and this time Todd Tucker wasn't speaking in hints anymore. He leaned forward, paused for a second, and said, "Respect ain't just what people see. It's how you're treated when nobody's watching." That line landed heavier than anything before. Because now the conversation shifts away from business, away from roles, and straight into something more personal. Fans are shocked because that statement doesn't sound like frustration. It sounds like something that's been sitting for a long time. And once that tone changes, everything else starts to feel different. People go back and rewatch moments between Todd and Kandi Burruss, not looking for imbalance anymore, but looking for signs of tension. And suddenly those small pauses, those quick exchanges, those subtle reactions, they don't feel random anymore. Emotions ran high as one particular clip began circulating again. It shows Kandi in a discussion, firm, confident, clearly leading the conversation. Todd tries to add something, but she cuts in. Not aggressively, but decisively. At the time, it looked like normal communication. Now fans are replaying it saying, did he even get a chance to speak? That question alone opens another layer. Because it's no longer just about structure, it's about voice. And that's when another unexpected piece enters the conversation. A podcast snippet, previously unnoticed, starts gaining traction. In it, Todd is talking about relationships in general, not naming anyone directly, but he says, sometimes people get so used to being the boss, they forget how to be a partner. That line immediately gets pulled into the current situation. Because even without names, the timing makes it feel connected. And once that connection is made, it spreads fast. The family was left divided again. But this time the arguments feel more personal than ever. Some fans are saying this is being blown out of proportion, that strong personalities naturally clash, that leadership doesn't equal disrespect. Others aren't convinced. They're saying the pattern is too consistent, that these aren't isolated moments, they're pieces of a bigger picture. Meanwhile, the silence from Kandi continues to shape the narrative. No interviews addressing it. No posts responding to the clips. Just the same steady presence she's always had. But now that presence feels different. Because every time Todd speaks, every time a new clip surfaces, that silence becomes part of the conversation. Some see it as strength, others see it as distance. And that difference in interpretation only adds to the divide. Then came a moment that shifted everything again. A short, behind-the-scenes video clip surfaces from a past event. The setting looks casual, but the tone feels tense. Todd is standing slightly apart while Kandi is engaged in conversation. At one point, someone off-camera asks Todd a question about their dynamic. He laughs it off but then says quietly, "It works, as long as you don't expect too much." That line didn't stand out before. Now it hits differently, because it sounds like a limitation, like an adjustment. Fans are shocked again because now the narrative isn't just about imbalance. It's about expectation, about what each person believed the relationship was supposed to be, and whether those expectations ever aligned. And just when it seems like everything has already been said, another detail surfaces. A message, allegedly from someone close to the situation, begins circulating. It reads, "He gave more than people realized. He just didn't say it publicly." That line adds another layer. Because now, it suggests that what people saw might not reflect what was actually happening behind the scenes. And if that's true, then the public version of their relationship might have been only part of the story. Fans are shocked, caught between two perspectives that both feel possible. One where Kandi is simply a strong, driven leader navigating both business and marriage. Another where Todd may have felt overshadowed, unheard, or undervalued over time. And through all of this, one thing keeps becoming clearer. This isn't just about what Todd is saying now. It's about what he's been saying in pieces over time. And now that those pieces are being put together, they're starting to form a picture that people didn't fully see before. A picture that raises more questions than answers. And one that doesn't feel finished yet. What happens next doesn't slow anything down. It pushes everything further. Because just when it feels like the story has already reached its peak, a new clip surfaces that changes the tone one more time. This time, Todd Tucker isn't sitting in an interview or speaking in general terms. He's in a more personal setting, talking directly, and what he says feels like the closest thing to clarity so far. "I stayed quiet for a long time, but quiet don't mean everything was okay." That line hits immediately. Not dramatic, not loud, just honest in a way that makes everything else feel heavier. Fans are shocked because now it doesn't sound like reflection anymore, it sounds like release. Like something that's been building for years is finally coming out piece by piece. And once that shift happens, the entire conversation changes again. People aren't just analyzing clips now. They're trying to understand the emotional weight behind them. Because statements like that don't come from nowhere. They come from experience. Emotions ran high as more people began sharing their own interpretations. Some fans pointed out that staying quiet in a relationship can sometimes be about keeping peace, while others argued that it can also mean holding in things that were never addressed. And that difference in perspective only made the conversation more intense. Because now it's not just about Todd and Kandi Burruss, it's about how people relate to what they're hearing. Then came another moment that added even more tension. A recent appearance from someone within their extended circle begins circulating. The person doesn't say much, but one sentence stands out. Everybody sees the success. They don't always see the pressure that comes with it. That line immediately gets connected back to everything Todd has been saying. Because now, it sounds like confirmation, not direct, not explicit, but enough to keep the narrative moving forward. The family was left divided once again, but now the divide feels more settled. Like people are starting to form final opinions. Some fans stand firmly with Kandi, arguing that her level of success requires focus, control, and leadership that not everyone can fully understand. Others stand with Todd, saying that no matter how successful someone is, a relationship should never feel one-sided. Meanwhile, Kandi's silence remains unchanged. And at this point, that silence has become one of the most discussed parts of the entire situation. Because every time Todd speaks, every time another clip surfaces, every time the conversation evolves, her decision not to respond continues to shape how people interpret everything. Some see it as confidence, as someone who doesn't need to explain themselves. Others see it as avoidance, as someone choosing not to engage with what's being said. Then came the moment that tied everything together. A final clip, short, simple, but powerful, starts making rounds. In it, Todd is asked directly if he regrets anything about the relationship. He pauses, takes a breath, and says, "I don't regret it, but I learned what I need moving forward." That line doesn't attack. It doesn't accuse. But it closes a chapter in a way that feels definitive. Fans are shocked because for the first time it doesn't feel like he's just looking back, it feels like he's moving on. And that shift brings everything full circle. Because what started as subtle hints and quiet comments has turned into a clearer picture of how he experienced the relationship. And through all of this, one idea keeps standing out. That what people saw publicly wasn't the full story. Not completely. Because relationships, especially ones built in the spotlight, carry layers that don't always show on camera. Layers of expectation, of communication, of balance or imbalance. And now, with everything that's been said, everything that's been revisited, everything that's been interpreted, feels like those layers are finally being seen. Not all at once, but enough to change how the story is understood. And even now, it doesn't feel like everything has been said. It just feels like enough has been revealed for people to start seeing things differently. And now it all comes down to what you think, because at this point, this isn't just their story anymore, it's a conversation that everyone has an opinion on. What started with a few quiet statements from Todd Tucker has turned into a full breakdown of a relationship people thought they understood, involving Kandi Burruss in a way nobody expected. Fans are shocked. Emotions ran high. The family was left divided. And even now, there's still no clear answer, just perspectives. So now I'm asking you directly, do you think Todd is finally speaking his truth? Or do you feel like this is only one side of a much bigger story? And what about Kandi's silence? Does that say confidence? Or does it leave too many questions unanswered? Go down to the comments and say what you really think. Not what's popular. Not what's trending, but your real opinion. Hit that like button if this made you look at things differently. Subscribe if you want more real-time breakdowns like this, and stay locked in. Because conversations like this don't just end, they evolve.